Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there many more people to join with the session? තව join වෙන්න ඉන්නවද session එකට? I think so. Like we have about 8 students online right now. Shall I wait for 5 minutes? Can I have a quick confirmation, please?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, we'll wait for 5 minutes. Okay, right. Okay, good morning. So we will start the session. I hope other students will also join with us soon. Am I audible enough for you? I hope you all can hear me, right?
Yes, madam.
Okay, right. So let me start sharing my screen. Actually, we were supposed to have an online physical lectures on last Tuesday, but the problem is your batch coordinator spoke to me that on Tuesday you had a workshop related to this university conference, and he asked me whether it's possible for me to take an online session. I said, okay, but like we can take online sessions time to time. The next week, 2nd of December is the university conference. I mean, the first, second, and third, we are going on the university conference, but I'm planning to have the second December session online from 8 to 10. I don't think it will be a problem because otherwise, if we go online for every session, I don't think it's going to work. So therefore, like, let's try to have a physical session the next Tuesday, 9th of November, the 2nd of December. We'll try to have a physical session, right? So having said that, like today we have to start the session on strategic human resource management. I have already sent you the PowerPoints. So if you look at like this industrial management module, is there to just to give you the basics related to manage. We do understand that your like discipline is different. You're specialized in like your own specialties are there. However, like when you go and work in an organization, when you proceed in the career ladder, you have to definitely post the managerial positions. So in that case, you have to have a basic understanding of management concepts, management philosophies. That is why like we are going to have these sessions. And if you look at the last 2 weeks, we had the introduction. And then like your syllabus, if you look at management sessions, we have to have few sessions on human resource management, HRM. Again, few sessions on marketing management. Again, few sessions on technology management. These are the three important areas I have to cover with you all. Because if you look at like HRM, human resource management is needed because you have to work with people. So when you are to work with people, when you are to deal with the human resources, you should know how to handle them. Because without the support of the people, without the support of the employees, you can't work in an organization. And the second one is about marketing management, because when you have a good product or a service, you have to market it. Even if you look at like your fourth year students, 4-2 students now, once you passed out, or maybe when you're about to pass out, you have to do self-branding, self-marketing, without which no one will take you to the organizations. Even in the interviews, what you do is you have to do self-branding. You need to say that these are my skills, these are my talents, like that. So marketing is also important in organizations whenever they want to market the products and services. That is important. And then finally, like we have to talk about technology management, as I told you, because right now, like I don't think you being technology people, I have to talk to you about that, because it's like in every field, like without technology, you can't survive. So that is important. Those are the three main sections that we will be covering within this module called industrial management. And today, we are going to discuss about strategic human resource management. HRM is standing for human resource management. So if you look at these are the learning outcomes that I'm planning to cover. I will try my level best to cover as much as I can until 10 o'clock today. So once I complete this session, I'm sure all the candidates will be able to define strategic human resource management, HRM, and explain how it differs from traditional human resource management. Conventional HR activities, how is it going to be different from the modern activities like strategic human resource management, we will be discussing. And then we need to describe the alignment between human resource strategy and overall business strategy. So if you look at an organization, whenever you manage a workforce, what is the strategy that you should use to manage your human resources? And how does it support to the overall strategy of the organization? We will be discussing later on. And finally, we will look at the role of strategic human resource management. SHRM stands for Strategic Human Resource Management in driving organizational performance and competitive advantage. So if you look at right now, we operate in a competitive marketplace where you have to compete and where the achieving organizational performance is going to be number one goal. So in that case, to understand how can you achieve organizational performance and a competitive advantage, definitely strategic human resource management matters. So these are the areas that I will be planning to covering with you today until 10 o'clock. So we will try our level best to cover as much as we can. Right. So having said that, first I will let you know what is strategy. I'm sure like you may have heard about this. You may have seen this even in your modules. Like for every organization, it's important for us to have a strategy. This is not a new term. This is not just a term restricted to management. So everywhere we talk about it, like even if you look at when we speak to people, we say we have to have a right strategy. That is important. You might have heard about like university has a strategic plan, even technology faculty has a strategic plan. So that's important. If you look at strategy, is deciding where you should go and how you should go there. That is very important because without a strategy, it's like blind walking. In Sinhala also, we say like, අපිට අර strategy එකක් නැත්නම් we don't have a vision for life, we don't know what to do. And you might have seen some people, even among your batchmates, there might be people who doesn't have a strategy. So they are the people who own a job එකක්, okay, if the government is going to give jobs, you even apply for that. But some other students are there who are visionary, who has a better strategy for the life from the beginning. Among y'all also, I'm sure some students are there. එගලන්ට by now ලොකු idea එකක් තියෙනවා what they should do, එගලගේ career එක කොහොම වෙන්න ඕනේද, higher studies කොයි කාලේ කරන්න ඕනේද. They plan out everything. So that is what we call as strategies deciding where you should go. You should have an aim about your life. By maybe 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line, this is what I want to be. And then you plan out how you should reach there. Aim එක තියාගත්තාම then you have to see how can you reach there. That is again important. Otherwise, some people might say like, I want to be a multimillionaire or I want to be the number one businessman. But if you don't have the right techniques in your place, you may have a vision, but you can't achieve that. Strategy is determining where you should go. And then again, accordingly, you have to decide how do you plan to reach there. Both together, we call it as strategy. Strategy is about like a declaration of intent, what you want to do. It's like you can't do it because some students, if I ask what do they want to do, they say, I'm a කැමති private sector එකේ වැඩ කරන්න, but my parents asked to get a job in the government sector. So strategy is not like that. Someone can't push you. You have to have a very clear idea where you should go. And then you need to develop all the strategies that I'm planning to reach out this goal by using these techniques. That is important. And that is important for a person, even for an organization, it's very important. That is why some companies you may have seen, very new companies, but within 5 years, 10 years, they are doing really well in the industry because they have a predefined strategy. So that is important, without which you can't like run an organization. With that, actually, there is a term in management called strategic management. It's about a continuous iterative process aimed at keeping an organization as a whole appropriately matched to its environment. So if you look at strategic management, it's a continuous process that you have to do. And it's an iterative process. You plan, you implement, you rectify the issues, again you come up with a plan. It goes like a cycle. That is why we call it as iterative process. Cycle එකක් විදිහට ඒක දිගටම continue. So there, if you look at actually why an organization needs to have strategic management, if not, like organizations work as they want, and sometimes they may not have a clear idea about what they should be in the future. So always in strategic management, they keep the business in tune with management and marketing forces, both outside and inside the firm. That is important. Because when you do strategic management, you always focus and see what's going on in the outside environment. And accordingly, you try to change. According to the changes that you witness in the outside environment, you try to fine tune your strategies. You try to come up with the new strategies. That is what we call as strategic management. Even if you look at, like, for a person also, strategic management is important. Like, if you take yourself, ඔගලන්ට pass out වුණාම තේරෙනවා the degree is not sufficient. Make industry එකේ ඉන්න අයට, they have some other qualifications. So you try to get those qualifications. You try to follow masters, higher studies. See, it's like strategic management. You look at what's there in the outside environment, and accordingly you change your strategies. Accordingly, you try to do something more. Even companies should be like that. If they are following strategic management, they have to keep a close eye to the outside environment and see what's going on. And accordingly, they have to move, they have to come up with the strategies to determine the next move. That is very important. And that is what we call as strategic management, without which you can't survive at all. And having said that, as I always emphasize, a company with a strategic management should be able to determine an appropriate competitive strategy as well. Not only for a company, even a person, an individual like you and me, this equally applies as well. So competitive strategy usually leads to achieving a competitive advantage. As I told you, අපි හැම වෙලේම strategic management කරනකොට we just look at outside environmental changes. එළියේ තියෙන ඒ changes එක්ක we try to respond. So when you do that, you tend to have a competitive strategy. You tend to perform better than the other competitors in the market. So that is what we call as a competitive strategy. So that's very important for an organization. Then only they can achieve a competitive advantage. See, for example, I'm sure like you are staying in Pambahinna for the last 4 years now. You may have seen during the last 4 years, there were like maybe 10, 20 like food outlets. ඔගලන් පඹින්න දැකලා ඇති කෑම කඩ පටන් ගන්නවා. After some time, it's not there. Someone else will start. But those food outlets never grow. ඒගොල්ලන් එක expand කරලා, they don't grow in a big scale. It doesn't happen. So if you look at actually why it happens, is because they don't have a competitive strategy. They just start and provide food, but like they don't have anything unique. But if you look at some organizations you might have seen, they start very recently, but they like do planning and they monitor what's going on in the outside environment. And they try to come up with something unique. And they try to achieve a competitive advantage. So this is what we call as a competitive strategy. Competitive strategy can be anything. Cost effective. අඩු මිලට දෙනවා නම්, if you use cost-effective technology, cost-effective operations, you can provide your products at a lower price. That is a competitive advantage. So then people will come because your products are of low price, but the good quality. හොඳ quality එකක්, හැබැයි price එක අඩුවෙන් දෙනවා නම්, then it will be a competitive advantage. Some other companies are there, they never reduce the price, but the product is of high quality. Like Toyota, they are known for their quality. BMW, they are known for luxury. So these are like competitive strategies that they have. If you look at in Sri Lanka also, you might have seen a lot of fast food outlets are there, restaurants are there. They just open, but after some time, you don't see they are performing well. Some of them close down the businesses. But if you look at a restaurant chain like, see, Ministry of Crabs, from the day one, they were profitable. And they had a competitive strategy. Their, like whole menus are different. And they prioritize crabs. And then like you have to first select the crab. And then accordingly, you have to select the rest of the menu items. If you look at it, it's a unique strategy, but their prices are also high. So if there is a company who can do something different of high quality, but then charge high amount, no problem. That will be their competitive strategy as well. මොනහරි අනිත් තියෙන competitors අට වඩා වෙනස් දෙයක් කරනවා. හැබැයි high quality දෙයක් කරලා you can achieve a competitive advantage that would work. Ministry of Crafts, they did something like that. Even if you look at like, Toyota, BMW, Audi, they have done the same thing. Even if you look at hotel chains like Ritz-Carlton, their competitive strategy is superior quality, high quality customer services they provide. Even if you look at some like, I'm sure you may have heard about the wristwatch brands are there. So some of them, like if you look at Titan, that doesn't have any competitive strategy as well. But if you look at some watches like Rolex, of course, they do have a competitive advantage. They are high quality, prestigious brand name. They are their competitive advantage. So that's important. Like every company has to think about it. And that is why they do everything. They come up with new products, new services. Even if you look at human resources, employees of an organization plays an important role in achieving a competitive advantage. The other issue is, if you look at competitive advantage is something that erodes with the time. Time එකත් එක්ක it's not something consistent. හැමදාම එකම විදියට competitive advantage එක competitive strategy එක තියෙන්නේ නැහැ. It changes with the time. So that's important to acknowledge that. And because of that, it's important for a company to continuously monitor the market, and improving in their competitive strategy is something very important, and that is something that they should do. That is important. Some companies, I think, or even on the first day I told you, if you look at some companies like Maliban, Fab in Sri Lanka, Fab Foods, they lost their competitive advantage. Maliban used to be the #1 player in the market in 1990s, but now it's all like gone to Munchie. Even if you look at like Fab Foods, in 1990s they were very powerful. The past presidents also used to order their birthday cakes, anniversary cakes from like Fab. But now if you look at, they even serve lunch, they are into like catering. So they lost their competitive advantage. So it's very important for us to understand, if you want to remain in the business, if you want to be competitive, every day you have to monitor the market and you need to understand what's going on in the market, and accordingly you have to respond. So that's very important in organizations. And why actually I want to tell this is because achieving competitive advantage of an organization has a big role to be played with the human resource management as organization එකේ තියෙන products, services, ඒ වගේම employees ලා ඒගොල්ලන් කරන වැඩක්, it has a huge role to be played when it comes to achieving competitive advantage as well. So that's what it shows in this slide if you look at it. See, for example, like company, they have to have a vision, mission, what they wanted to be in the future. ඊළඟට ඒගොල්ලෝගේ CSR, social responsibility activities කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? හැබැයි ඒවා decide කරන්න වෙන්නේ based on the environment they operate, their internal environment. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්න employees ලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන product range එක, ඊළඟට based on the other resources they have, they need to determine that. Even the outside environment, who are the competitors, what do they do? You have to look at all these things. And based on that, you determine. And if you look at like, once you decide what you should do in the future, accordingly you come up with your objectives, your strategic decisions, the generic strategies, grand strategies you determine. But even if you look at managing employees, managing human resources, those strategies will also determine in that way. If you look at like, you can't say HRM is separate, competitive strategies separate. It's not like that. They are highly connected to one another. So it's important for you, when you go and work in an organization, eventually you will be a part of this process as well. So then you can't say that I'm a person graduated from technology faculty. I don't know anything about management. You can't say. උගලන්ගේ task එකනොත් වෙන්නේ you just support the achievement of the organization's strategic plan, strategic management activities. So then what you do in the organization when you work with people, when you are leading the people, so you also have to follow the strategic plan of the organization. So that is why even for the human resource management today, I first just want to explain you how does it closely relate with the business strategy of an organization. එහෙම නැතුව මට කියන්න බෑ මම කරන්නේ human resources මම employees එක්ක වැඩ කරන්නේ. I don't mind about the company's business plan. I don't need that. I'm not a person setting the business plan. You can't say something like that. That should be the document that guide your whole work. That is important. Right. So having said that, now we have to start our discussion on strategic human resource management or SHRM. Before I start the discussion on strategic human resource management, up to this point, any questions? Anything that you want to clarify? I hope you can hear me, right? Any questions, any clarifications from your side? I hope you all can hear me. Am I correct? Can I have a quick confirmation, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Right. So then we will proceed with what is strategic human resource management. We will discuss about it. Strategic human resource management has been defined as linking of human resources with strategic goals and objectives of an organization in order to improve business performance and develop innovative organizational culture that foster innovation and flexibility. So that's what I want to tell. දැන් ගොඩක් අය හිතනවා human resources කියන්නේ employees. ඒතර employee management එක we don't have anything to do with the strategic plan of the organization. That's how many people think. But it's not the case. You should not forget at a strategic human resource management කියද්දී, although you're managing human resources, so that has to be aligned with the goals and objectives of the organization. That is very important. And you need to remember that you're managing employees to improve the performance. Performance of the organization should be improved. You should be able to develop innovative organizational culture. That's important. And it should foster innovation and flexibility in organizations as well as strategic human resource management. That's how it should be. We should be able to develop an innovative organizational culture within organizations, and that has to foster innovation and flexibility. So right now in organizations, this is important. Make function, it's very important in organizations. But the organizations were to compete karanda bear without innovation, without flexibility. You can't say, මේවා තමයි තියෙන මගේ products, like if you want, you have to buy that. It's not going to work now. So you have to always come up with new products, new services. You need to change existing products according to customer needs. So that is what we say, you are becoming flexible. That's important. So having said that, if you look at these are the long-term objectives behind strategic human resource management. Long-term balance, strategic human resource management අපි කරන්නේ to enhance the profitability of the organization. That is very important. And also, you have to earn high return on investment. That is again important for an organization, because if you spend money you have to gain more profits. No, none of the organization want to spend money and earn losses. They are not going to do that. There are a return on investment කියන්නේ අපි පුළුවන් තරම් invest කරනකොට if we invest 10 million, we expect something about 10 million as a return, without which you are not going to earn any profits as well. And I think if you have a good human resource workforce, you can achieve a competitive position. There's some other companies වල ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ලොකුම strength එක තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ employees. And when you go and work in some companies, if you perform well, even if you say you want to resign, they will not allow you to resign because you're one of their competitive forces. For example, if you look at, see the Mount Lavinia Hotel, still Pabilis Silva works there. He's very old now, but he's in the board of directors. He's there in every publication they do, the magazines that they do for airlines, hotels. The Pabilis Silva is there because they are competitive strength. Like some are employees, and not all employees will help an organization to achieve a competitive position, but some employees definitely do. And also, like by having strategic human resource management, you can earn technological leadership, you can enhance productivity in the long run. And not only that, you can maintain good relationships with your employees. Employee relations is important. And you can help employees to develop and grow in their careers as. So some organizations are there where their management has a very close relationship with the employees. Management support employees a lot. Management give employees development opportunities, training opportunities. All of these things can be done if you're implementing strategic human resource management. You might have seen some companies are there. If you look at like just whenever you pass a garment factory, just look, every time when you pass a garment factory, there will be a notice like telling vacancies. In Sinhala, they say abertu at vacancies are there. Why actually it happens is they don't have proper employee relations. The employees come and work, and whenever they feel like it's hard to work, they resign. If there is such a trend in organizations, it's very difficult for the second semester straight apply category, you might have seen sometimes in the same job person organization.
Recording in
They
progress.
might like leave the jobs as well. So you have to be very careful about it because in every organization, they don't have good employee relations as well. Not every organization will give you an opportunity for the learning and development purposes as well. So having said that, if you look at like now, you would understand how important it is to engage in strategic human resource management activities. But not only that, even in the immediate like future, පොඩි කාලෙකින් short-term gains also we can take. Detailed work planning, team-based training, emphasis on technical qualifications and skills, emphasis on job-specific training, job-based payment, use of performance appraisal as a control device. And these are the short-term benefits. Our employees that are immediate benefits තමයි detailed work plan. So you can provide the detailed plan for the employees. We will be recruiting you. These are the things that you should do. And like if you do like this, if you work consistently like this for 1 year, you will be promoted. You just give them a detailed work plan. And also you emphasize on technical qualifications and skills, both are important. Technical qualifications in the sense educational qualifications, the paper qualifications, plus the skills. That is why even if you have a first class and if you go to an interview and say, look, I have a first class, my GPA is 3.99, they might be happy, but that will not be the sole qualification they will look for. Some other first classes, you may have seen that very difficult to get a job. You may have a first class, requirement it's not the only case the job should be offered to you. Some other people are there, maybe have a second lower, but highly skilled. Like communication skills on the leadership skills on the like they can go and talk to people, they can take the initiation and lead a team. So they will be paying a higher salary. Strategic human resource management, when we recruit people, we look at their technical qualifications in the sense paper qualification, educational qualification. ඊට අමතරව ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ skills මොනවාද? Both are important. That's why sometimes I know some graduates complain, I got a first class, හැබැයි මට වඩා හොඳට අනිත් කෙනාට pay කරනවා, because first class is just one. That is important specifically if you are to come and join with academia. හැබැයි ඒකත් එක්කම your other skills should be uplifted. That is why during your courses, during your degree, the faculty offers you English and also personality development workshops, personality development subjects. You need to improve in your skills. And also, if you look at the strategic human resource management, one big advantage is job-specific training will be provided to employees. Employees are while they're on the job, they'll be providing overseas training, local, but you provide them training and you pay them based on the job that they do, job-based payment. That is again important. අනිත් එක තමයි employees ලාගේ performance. ඒගොල්ලෝ කොච්චර හොඳට වැඩ කරනවද කියන එක තීරණය කරන්න. ඒගොල්ලෝ වැඩ කරන අයව appreciate කරන්න. They use performance appraisal techniques. So you can see that is again one of the biggest strength of strategic human resource management. Otherwise, sometimes you might have seen in the university, අපිට සමහරවිට ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇති සමහර non-academic staff members or like some lecturers. You may have a doubt, මේගොල්ලන් වැඩ කරන්නේ, they don't do work properly, but how can they get salary? They are getting promotions. You may have a doubt because like we don't have a proper appraisal system. Usually in our university, everyone is getting the increments, like we don't have a good performance appraisal system. But if you look at in the private sector, they do it well. If you are really talented and if you work hard hard in the organization, you can improve. Otherwise, like you may not get promotions, you may not get salary increments as well. And again, another advantage why companies go for strategic human resource management is it allows you to go focus on team-based training. As a team, how you should perform, that is again a part of this strategic human resource management activities as well. So having said that, let's now move to the types of human resource strategies. So HR always stands human resource strategies. අපි බලමු කොහොමද employees ලා manage කරන්න ආයතන මොන වගේ strategies ද මොන වගේ strategic movements ද පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියන එක. So they use some strategies like high performance work teams. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට companies now you may have seen, not only companies, government sector also, we try to come up with teams. අපි හැම වෙලේම promote කරන්න බලන්නේ teamwork. It's like not individual performance. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට now what we recognize is team performance. We always want to promote high performance work teams. So if you look at high performance work teams, they work well and they collaborate with each other well. They keep a close eye about the outside environment. They try to understand competitive intelligence. How the competitors they closely monitor that. and they at the same time will like support the company, telling that these are what's happening outside the environment, this is what the other competitors are doing, and accordingly the companies can also understand their workforce, their strengths, weaknesses, and accordingly organizations can determine කොහොමද අපි හරි teams හදලා we should run the company, we should like make our company competitive, so then even if the competitors are doing something, we can still defend, we can still survive in the market as well. So that's very important, and that's how some companies work. If you look at some companies who are doing really well, especially private sector companies, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ high performing teams regular ඒවා හදන්නේ හැම වෙලේම they just closely monitor the outside environment. They try to understand what's going on in the outside environment. මොන වගේ දේවල්ද competitors කරන්නේ. ඒ වගේ වට තියෙන demand එක, they just look for everything. So that's important. Otherwise, you can't say, like my company is number one company, I'm there in the market for a long time. Because of that, I don't want to worry. Although you are the number one player today, maybe like another 1 or 2 months' time, some other competitor might take up that position. In the market, none of the places are guaranteed. So because of that, companies need to understand this, and they have to promote high performance work teams as much as possible. That's important. And another technique that organizations can do is they can engage in effective human resource management activities by focusing different areas. Then ගොඩක් organizations are ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ employees recruit කරනකොට they are not strategic. ඒගොල්ලෝ like for the sake of recruiting the people they recruit. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ advertisement එකට apply කරලා හිටපු කීප දෙනාගෙන් කවුරු හරි කෙනෙක්ව recruit කරනවා. But it should not be the way. You have to have a good human capital management. What we say is you have to recruit the right talent for the right job. හරිම පුද්ගලයා හරිම position එකට අපි recruit කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම කරොත් they will like retain in the company for a long time. So then you don't want to frequently advertise the same position. It's not needed if you recruit the right person to the right job. And again, the other thing is, where do you like resource employees? Employees are කොහෙන්ද හොයාගන්න? Some companies are there where they have a very good network with the universities, higher education institutes, and they like, try to get the qualified pool of employees from these organizations. Universities, higher education institutes, they try to find out qualified workforce. Sometimes they might try to find out people even from schools. That is how they do. You have to have a network. That is important because when you build a network, you can find the right person to the right job. That is important. In organizations, you have to manage knowledge. That is again an important part. You have to conduct seminars, workshops, brainstorming sessions for your employees. Like you might have seen now companies are there once a month, they have a breakfast meeting or something like that. They just meet each other for a coffee and have an awareness sessions, knowledge dissemination sessions are there. Employees like they were requested to do presentations about their areas of specialization. All of these things are very important. Because now you can't say, like happy employees, we have to work in organizations, we should not speak to each other. It's not like that. When you work also like in organizations, time to time, not every day, but maybe once a month or twice a month, it's better to have a workshop, maybe a seminar or a presentation for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, make other employees aware about what's going on. That's important. And in organizations even, talent management matters a lot. Talent management in the sense, the right talent should be rewarded. That is important. Hari employees හරියට හොයාගෙන ඒගොල්ලන්ට promotions දීලා training දෙන එක, that is what we call as talent management. Because as I told you, sometimes I'm sure like undergraduates are not, like small kids. I have seen all of you around 24, 25 years old. So some students have a question, මේගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද campus එකේ වැඩ කරන්නේ, but they are still retaining in the campus. Because if you look at in our universities, we have very conventional, traditional human resource strategies. Rapper talent management, we don't do it properly. Everyone is getting salary increments. That is how we do. But if you look at private sector organizations, when they practice the strategic human resource management, they actually understand the real talent of the organization, and talent will always be rewarded. So the talented employees will get a lot of opportunities for learning and development. And that is why you can see some private sector company employees are there, always go abroad for overseas training, maybe like 5, 6 times per month, per year. So it's like for the learning and development, international exposure, that training is very important, without which you can't survive. And the rewarding employees, giving salary increments or maybe giving them other benefits like, overseas holiday, or maybe a weekend get out in one of the prominent hotel chains in Sri Lanka. The companies reward the employees in different ways. Achieve target, they go for lunch outing. So these are important like strategies that you can see companies now do. And also they think about enhancing company relationships with the employees, employee relations, that's important. And then they look for employees' well-being even. Employees, their welfare activities, in case like some employees, if they need mentoring support, or maybe like some of them might need counselors related to work-related matters. Some companies are there where within the company they have a counseling center, like there are counselors, there are mentors assigned to newly recruit employees. So all these things now happens in organizations where they understand human resource management or HR practices should be a strategic priority. දැන් ගොඩාක් ආයතන මුල් කාලේ තේරුම් ගත දෙයක් තමයි human resources වලට ඒගොල්ලෝ ලොකු වටිනාකමක් දුන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ හැම වෙලෙම හිතන්නේ ආයතනේ අපිට හරි rules regulations තියනවා නම් අපි හොඳ product services කරනවා නම් අපිට profitability එකට යන්න පුළුවන්. They give less importance for the HR. But now companies understand even HR is equally important. කොච්චර හොඳ product එකක් service එකක් තිබුණත් employees ලා හරියට වැඩ කරන්නේ නැත්නම් probably their quality will go down. The quality of the product or the service will go down. And if employees are not working properly, your customers will be disappointed as the products and the services will not reach to them on time. So that is why now actually this very operational human resource management practices have been changed. And instead of that, we have strategic human resource management activities. That's there. And having said that, you can see the difference between strategic human resource management on the left-hand side of the human resource strategies. Say, for example, if you look at the strategic human resource management right now, focus on long-term people issue. ඒගොල්ලෝ ගොඩක් කලාවට බලන්නේ long-term කොහොමද employees තියාගන්නේ, employee retention එක වැඩි කරන්නේ, and they try to align with organizational intention about future direction. As I told you, it's not just about recruiting. දැන් අපි හිතන්නේ HR කියනවා නම් employee කෙනෙක් recruit කරන එක, ඒගොල්ලන්ට salary දෙන එක තමයි HR. But if you look at strategic human resource management, it supports the strategic management of the organization. एक organization में क्या long-term future correct business plan strategy. That's very important. And that's how the strategic human resource management should be done. And that affect to everything that you do in the organization, like their performance, their culture, their management development. For everything, strategic human resource management affects. And whereas if you look at like the HR strategies based on this strategic human resource management concept, මේ strategic human resource management concept එක base කරගෙන what we do is we derive or we develop human resource strategies. So as you can see on the fourth point of the HR strategies section, you can see human resource strategies, strategic decisions are derived from the strategic human resource management. That's important. And that's how an organization should be. දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ආයතනවල වෙන්නේ අර හැම වෙලේම employees recruit කරන්න වෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට strategic human resource management නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ බලන්නේ අර මොනවා හරි vacancy එකක් ආවම they try to get an employee and fill. ඒ employee හරියට එතනට ගැලපෙන්නේ නැත්නම් එයාගේ knowledge level එක එතනට ගැලපෙන්නේ නැත්නම් එයා career එකේ ඉස්සරහට යන්න හරි intention එකක් නැති කෙනෙක් නම් එයාට හරියට training development හම්බෙන්නේ නැත්නම් they might leave the job. Otherwise, they might not perform well in the job as well. However, strategic human resource management ගත්තොත්, it is closely aligned with the strategic plan of the organization. ඒක long term. ඒ වගේ වෙලාවක strategic human resource management වෙලදී අපි පාවිච්චි කරන HR strategies ඔක්කොම derive වෙන්නේ strategic human resource management මත. That affects the overall performance of the organization. And like you don't try to recruit the applicant available. කවුරු හරි අපිට apply කරන applicant වෙන්නේ we try to recruit the right talent for the right job. That is very important. And that's how it should be done. So that is how the strategic HRM concepts link with the human resource strategies that we see in organizations. Up to this point, any questions before we proceed with the rest? Any questions, any clarifications from your side up to this point? I hope you all can hear me, right? Can I have a quick confirmation, please? I hope you all can hear me. Can I have a quick confirmation, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I? All right, right. Okay, thank you. Right. So if you look at now, we'll talk about some of the common strategies or the approaches that are available for an organization when it comes to like, when it comes to implementing human resource management within organizations. So one approach that we see is we call as resource-based approach. That is important. Meaning is that you have to use methods of increasing the firm's strategic capability by the development of managers and other staff who can think and plan strategically and who understand the key strategic issues of the organization. That is again important. The SHRM or else like strategic human resource management can be implemented by using the resource-based approach. The resource-based approach you just need to look at your employees. In employees, managers, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන talent එක, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන capabilities අනුව we should understand කවද අපිට strategically develop කරන්න පුළුවන්. And who can be used to like make strategic decisions of the organization, that is simple. So if you look at, that's what I told you, I think on the very first day I told you, like if you look at the real success of y'all can measure after 10 or 15 years from passing out from the university. There'll be undergraduates like final year ke api hitana the first classes are there. Regulan tamai, they are going to have a brighter future. Some of them definitely will have, undoubtedly, yes. But if you look at ඔගලන් අවුරුදු 10කට 15කට පස්සේ බැලුවොත් you might see the way that you perform in organizations will be completely different. Some students might be there in the university, they may haven't done anything. Maybe like got just a general pass with so much of attempt. හැබැයි in the companies, they are performing really well, holding managerial positions, because when you go and work in the companies, the organization's management understand some employees are really talented. ඒ වගේ අයට groom වෙන්න, ඒ වගේ අයට grow වෙන්න, develop වෙන්න opportunity එක දෙනවා නම් we call it as resource-based approach. That can be seen in some companies, not in all companies. So even if you look at a job to like a workplace to go and work, you have to look at for that as well. Say, for example, if you look at Mount Lavinia Hotel, Pavili Silva joined with the Mount Lavinia Hotel as a kitchen helper. Kitchen එක help කරන කෙනෙක් විදිහට තමයි එයා first joined. හැබැයි the Mount Lavinia Hotel understood his talent gradually. And now you can see, although he's very old, above 80 now, but still he's being there in the hotel and a part of the board of directors as well. Like, probably the people, those who have joined with him as the kitchen helper now might have died or might have already retired. ඒ හැමෝටම මේ opportunity එක හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් employees ලව හරි talent එක අඳුරගත්තාම, if they realize that these are the people who has the capabilities, who has the talent, probably they will be groomed by the companies. Some companies do it nicely. For example, if you look at most of the government sector organizations, we don't see this resource-based approach. A government sector ke api oy modern concept ekak resource-based approach එක we don't see. Government sector ke it's like every employee will be given equal opportunities mostly. අර විශේෂයෙන් talented කෙනෙක් මතු වෙලා එයාට ඉස්සරහට යන්න තියෙන, එයාව groom කරන්න තියෙන opportunity එක we don't see. I'm not saying in every government institutes. Some government institutes it doesn't happen. But some companies you can see that they do the resource-based approach in a very nice manner, where they really pay the attention to the employees and try to identify the best people. That's a good thing. And another thing that you can do is strategic fit. තව එක strategic human resource management වලට අපි පාවිච්චි කරන technique එකක්, it's there. We call it as strategic fit, meaning human resource strategy of the organization should be clearly aligned to the business strategy. අර human resource strategy එක ආයතනේ HR employees සම්බන්ධව අපි පාවිච්චි කරන strategy එක, it should be closely aligned, and it's better if it can be an integral part of the business strategy. So that's important. එහෙම නැතුව අපි කියනවා I don't mind about HR strategy, I don't want to think about the company's corporate plan, business plan. I don't care. මට ඕනේ employees ව recruit කරලා Komari, I want to get things done. If you think like that, strategic fit might not be there. And that is why I told you, when you go in front of a lot of manufacturing companies or maybe like garment factories, you will see there are always vacancies. With human resource strategy just about recruiting. Regular company ke vision එකත් එක්ක long term කොහොමද ඒක achieve කරන්නේ, they don't have a clear cut understand. Even some employees, those who work with them, ඒගොල්ලන්ට කාලෙකදී හිතනවා like we don't have an opportunity to like go for promotion, so this company is not the right company. But if you look at some companies like MS Holdings or Brandix, they have a very good HR strategy. I'm not sure whether you are aware about it. ඒ වගේ companies වල they very clearly tell the employees මෙහෙම තමයි this is how like they work in organizations. If you look at this strategic human resource management, say for example, as I told you, Brandix and MAs, they very clearly give the path for their employees. Maybe you will be promoted. Regulange හැම වෙලේම like employees are recruit කරද්දී their previous employees come and tell them their experiences, කොහොමද ඒගොල්ලන් promote උනේ. So some like MAs, Brandix management level employees are there who have joined with them as factory workers. But they have the management have identified their talent. They were facilitated with the further learning opportunities, doing degrees and all. And then they were being promoted to managerial level positions. That is a strategic fit. At HR strategic, if it is aligned with the company's vision, company strategy, and if it will be the part of the company's business strategy, that's a great thing. So the company is in the right direction to achieve its goals and objectives. That is important. And another approach companies can use to achieve strategic human resource management is high performance management. That is again important. Metanadi organizations komari focus karane. They try to emphasize their employees. If you perform well, uglang hodata perform karnawa nang, if you are going to perform well, we will pay you well. We will give you bonuses, increments. So then employees will be, highly motivated. And they know if I can contribute to enhancing productivity, maybe quality levels, improving customer service, probably I will be recognized. And my talent will be recognized and the company will give me bonuses, increments, salary, incentive pays, increments, that will be there. And you can see some companies, like annual awarding ceremonies, they say employee of the year. And the big cutouts will be placed in the city, showing the employee of the year who got it, the name, the photograph, everything. It's a huge recognition. Employees, those who are performance driven, will always work hard. The hammer employee can performances driven. There are highly committed performance driven employees by using this high performance management. Because then some employees I know calling I want to be the best employee in 2026. See, it's like some employees are like that. So that's how it goes. So you have to be very careful about it because it's by having strategic human resource management, you can figure out who are the high performers in the organization and you can find them and you can point them and probably you can focus more about them and you can groom them and they will definitely make your organization competitive. That happens. And another advantage that you can have by having strategic human resource management is high commitment management. That is again very important because if you look at human resource management, it focuses on enhancing mutual commitment. That is important. Employees la management එක හැම වෙලේම they have to be committed to each other. Even at that, we don't have human resource management at all. Some companies you may have seen, I'm sure, since you have worked for some companies, ඔගලන් දැකලා ඇති සමහර companies තියෙනවා. Employee අද උදේ තමයි කියන්නේ මං හෙට ඉඳලා වැඩට එන්න. මං අද ඉඳලා වැඩට එන්න. සමහර අය even without giving resignation, they stop reporting to work. So see, no commitment or lack of commitment. If I say tomorrow onwards, I will not report to my work to the university, it shows lack of my commitment. Because I can't do that. If you look at in university, I have to at least tell 3 months before that I'm going to resign. That is important. So then the management has time. Mage subjects කාටද allocate කරන්නේ, exams කොහොමද handle කරන්නේ. Otherwise, if I say ලබන සඳුදා ඉඳලා මම වැඩට එන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකේ මගේ lack of commitment. And it's an issue. If you look at a lot of private sector companies are there, I'm not saying the big ones, the good ones. නමුත් අර small scale අලුත් companies වල ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට ඔයගලන් දකිනවා some employees they are not committed at all. And then they say, අපි අයි commit වෙන්නේ management එකත් committed නෑ, that's how employees differ. So you have to be very careful because if there is a strategic human resource management. මොනා හරි company එකක් ඔය strategic human resource management focus කරනවා නම් they have to always foster high commitment management. That is important. So in case if you want to like resign, that is all right. But you have to follow the legal procedure. That's important. Formality should be followed. ඒ වගේම කවුරු හරි employee කෙනෙක් sanctions. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ව අපිට job එකෙන් අයින් කරන්න ඕන නම් I can't say like from tomorrow onwards you should not come to work. There is a formality. I have to give the warning letters. I can speak to the person. Keep red notice එකක් දීලා if they don't respond only I can like remove them from the workforce. Otherwise I can't say I don't like you, like tomorrow onwards you should not report to work. We cannot tell something like that. It's not going to work. So you have to be very careful about it. So high commitment management should be a part of strategic human resource management. Because why I want to tell this is I'm sure you may have experience or you may have heard sometimes your friends also do the same thing. They said, company ka mata hariyanne, I'm not going to work from tomorrow. So that is not strategic human resource management. You should demonstrate your commitment and everything should be done according to the formalities. That's important. And the other one is strategic human resource management තියෙනවා නම් ඒකේ තියෙන අනිත් important දෙයක් තමයි high involvement management. Management should be definitely involved well in everything in the organization. Managers cannot say like mama employees that they didn't work, I can't take the responsibility, it's not going to work. High involvement management in the sense management should create a climate where there can be a continuous dialogue between managers and the members of the teams or other employees. Employees at Munahari Prashnak they should definitely turn to manager. So then the manager can take actions. Manager can see how he or she can help employees. Relationship එකක් නැත්තා. Some companies are there where employees are afraid of the managers. Employees, although they have problems, they never voice their ideas. They never speak out. So that is not high involvement management. You can't shout people. You can't blame employees. You have to be a manager who can be like approached by any employee in your organization. And in case if employees are unable to work because they need additional support, you should be able to arrange that. Samalata employees you should be able to talk to them. You should be able to refer that employee to another good person in the company for mentoring, counseling. So that's important. And that's what we call as high involvement management. You might have seen some managers are there who treat their employees like family members, who are very understanding, who speak to each other well. So that is what we call as high involvement management. And that has to be definitely a part of the strategic human resource management activities as. So you can see this is how the human resource strategy of an organization should be developed. Otherwise, as I told you, like if you think our human resource is nothing, it's just about recruiting people, salary the human resource management will not work today. And ඒ වගේ companies වල තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ aims, objectives achieve කරන්න බැරි වෙන්නේ because employees are frequently leaving or employees are not supporting the organization to achieve its goals. And that is why actually we need strategic human resource management today. Right. So having said that, any questions up to this point? Up to this point, any questions, any clarifications from your side? Anything to be clarified? Up to this point? Any questions? So thank you for your confirmation. It seems no questions. Am I correct? At least I got one response, right? So then we'll talk about strategic human resource management, how you should develop human resource strategies. So as I told you, like human resource is not just simply about recruiting. It's not just simply about paying salaries. It has a bigger role to play. ඒතර ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට අපි බලන්න ඕනේ පළවෙනිම දේ තමයි strategic analysis එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ human resource environment එක. ඒ කියන්නේ like say for example if you look at I want to have a company. ඒතර මම බලන්න ඕනේ මොන වගේ employees අද ලංකාවේ අපිට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ මොන වගේ talents ද ඒගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්නේ capabilities that is what we call as human resource analyzing human resource environment. You can see some companies are there ඒගොල්ලන් තීරණය කරන සමහර activities they have to outsource. If you look at some IT firms in Sri Lanka, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ designing part එක කරන්නේ probably in India or Pakistan because they have realized that ලංකාවේ ඉන්න අයගේ talent ලංකාවේ ඉන්න අය charge කරනවට වඩා අපිට අඩු ගානකට කරගන්න පුළුවන්. See, it's about analyzing the human resource environment. That's important. Emirato, you can't say amage business එක ලංකාවේ තියෙන්නේ I have to recruit everyone from Sri Lanka. It's not going to work now. Now we should not forget we are operating in a global marketplace. So you can there is a question about like, could you please send session 1 lecture note? I think I already shared it with it in your WhatsApp group. No problem. Like after this session, I will send it to you all as well. No problem. Once again, I can send. So having said that, let's now talk about this human resource strategy development. As I told you, like you can't think like that. Now we operate in a global marketplace. There is no requirement of a company Lanka with we have to take everyone from Sri Lanka. Probably you can take overseas employees as well. You can do environmental analysis. ඒකත් එක්කම අපි බලන්න ඕනේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ legal environment එක. දැන් ලංකාවේ recruitment කරනවා නම් මොනවාද labor laws, regulations, ඒගොල්ලන්ට අපි කොහොමද salaries දෙන්නේ, tax pay කරන්න ඕනේද, everything you have to look at. ඊළඟට අපි global workforce එකෙන් ගන්නවා නම් let's say we are going to take a team from India. ඒතර ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කොහොමද salaries pay කරන්නේ? Are we going to pay it in local currencies or the USD? So everything you have to find it. So that is what we call as environmental analysis. That's what I told you. Some companies are there. ඒගොල්ලන් හිතන්නේ no problem. Employees are හොයාගන්න. We can just advertise it in LinkedIn or maybe top jobs. It's just a part of activity that you do, but you have to have a good understanding about the environment. සමහර organizations තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන් MOU sign කරලා තියෙනවා with the universities because that's a part of their environmental analysis. They have realized that මේ වගේ company organizations එක්ක universities එක්ක MOU sign කරාම every year we can take best students maybe 5 or 10 from each batch, something like that. So that is what we call as environmental analysis. Otherwise, don't think අපි කවුරුහරි employee කෙනෙක් හොයනවා නම් top jobs එකේ advertisement එකක් දාන එක තමයි option එක. It's not going to work. So you have to always like understand where you are heading. Organization එකේ direction එක මොකක්ද? ඒක අනුව we should identify කවුද අපි recruit කරන්නේ. Are we going to recruit from local or maybe in international? How do we pay them? How do we like ask them to work? And the legal restrictions you need to look at. Another one is human resource planning. And that is again very important because you can see in our university, HR planning කියන එක බැලුවොත් ඔයගලන් දකි university එකේ මේක වෙලා නැහැ. For example, some just go to some like divisions like exam branch or maybe the student affairs. ඒවට ගිහිල්ලා බලන්න සමහර divisions වල you feel like employees are ගොඩාක් ඉන්නවා, some of them are idle. They may like just look at just give me a minute. I'm extremely sorry. Actually, it was a call from the university. That's why I have to answer. So, as I told you, human resource planning, like it lacks in the university, as I told you. Sometimes when you go to certain divisions, you feel like the employees are idling, or they just look at YouTube, watch videos. So, if we did proper HR planning, every time employees have to work, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ හරියට ඒ අදාළ work එකට ගැලපෙන employees විතරයි we recruit. එහෙම නැතුව වැඩිපුර excess capacity of employees you don't need. අනිත් පැත්තට when you go to faculties you will see even in your faculty also it's a huge number of students now like but you have limited academic staff. Some academic staff members have to teach 5-6 modules, do assessments. The regular overburden, that is because no proper HR planning has taken place. So if you have the proper HR planning, everyone has to work, but they have a balanced workload. And then only employees are going to enjoy the work that they do. Sometimes even some companies you can see HR planning properly doesn't happen. Some companies are their profit oriented companies. සමහරවිට employee කෙනෙක් resign වුණාම ඒ job roles දෙකක් එකතු කරලා එක්කෙනෙක්ට කරන්න දෙනවා. With a salary increment. නමුත් අර එතකොට managing the workload will be very high for the employees. So you have to be very careful about it. අනිත් එක තමයි workforce එක කොහොමද effectively utilize කරන්නේ employees ලා practice කරන්නේ how we provide them reward ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ performance කොහොමද evaluate කරන්නේ everything comes under HR strategy. So that's what I told you. HR strategy focus on strategic analysis. ඒ analyze කරලා තමයි they have to do HR planning, strategy formulation. So then they think about implementing the strategy, how the workforce will be utilized in the workplaces and how their activities will be controlled. So this is important for an organization. If an organization follows this path, they will not have much problems with employees. එතන මේ වගේ companies වල employees ගේ turnover එක ටිකක් අඩුයි. ඒගොල්ලෝ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට long term මේ වගේ companies එක they are going to retain with such companies. That's important. So having said that, remember HR strategy is a human resource system that is tailored to the demand of the business strategy. It's the pattern of planned human resource activities intended to enable an organization to achieve its goals. This is important. Our HR strategy it has to be a part of the business strategy of the organization. And I think HR activity should be planned. Even at like you can't have the same advertisement, same vacancy. So it's like you can't do. It has to properly planned from the beginning, and you should support to achieve the organization's goals. That is very important. And that's what we call as having a properly defined or well-defined HR strategy. That's important. So if you look at actually the strategic human resource management, ensure HR management is fully integrated with the strategy and strategic needs of the firm. That is important. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි අර බැලුවොත් conventional HR practices සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කරන traditional practices වල තියෙන්නේ they focus on recruitment and paying salaries. එතන that's all right, you can have workforce. නමුත් ඒගොල්ලෝ හරියටම ආයතනයේ strategy plan එක implement කරන්න උදව් කරනවද ආයතනයට committed ද කියන එක we can't guarantee through that. But if you look at strategic human resource management, that has to be definitely fully integrated with the strategic needs of the firm. And HR policies cohere across policy areas and areas of hierarchy. That's important. Today, HR policies, employees at අදාළ policies, rules, regulations, අනිකුත් rules එක ගැලපෙන්න ඕන. සහ ආයතනයේ managerial levels එක. From the top management to the lower level management, there has to be a coherence. That is important. And HR practices are adjusted and used by line managers or the lower level managers and employees as a part of their everyday work. There are a strategic human resource management තියනවනම් ආයතනයේ තියෙන HR practices අවශ්‍යතාවය අනුව they are going to adjust and like they facilitate in everyday work. For example, you might have seen the last week, your faculty suddenly decided due to this ongoing health issue, you should go for 1 week online lectures. That is a decision not taken for the whole university. ඔගලගේ faculty එක they decide make everyday activities කරගෙන යන්න ඕන නම් we have to do something like this. That is what we call a strategic HR. If you look at, you might have seen that it is forecasted that today and tomorrow there will be extreme weather conditions in the country. So suddenly the A-level exam stopped for 2 days. And again, you can see like some companies, then maybe extreme weather conditions, they promote work from home. They ask their employees to be in a safe place and work, getting connected online. That is how the HR practices should be adjusted, not every time. හැමදාම නෙමෙයි, නමුත් අවශ්‍යතාවය අනුව මේ lower level management and the employees can decide. Maybe later we will change. That's important. And if you look at strategic human resource management, why they go for these adjustments? Because they want to improve business performance through people. But if you look at our conventional HR practices, well, a flexibility adjustment is not there. You can see, as I told you, due to the extreme weather conditions we experience today and tomorrow, a lot of companies are promoting work from home. Universities, well, we don't have that privilege. We can't do that. All employees should be reported to work. So that's how it happens. Those are conventional practices. If you look at actually the major concern of strategic human resource management are to meet the business needs of the organization and the individual and collective needs of the people employed in it. We do all these things because we want to ensure ආයතනයේ තියෙන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ goals, objectives achieve වෙලා ආයතනයේ profitability එක achieve වෙන අතරෙම not only that, even the employees individual employees අර තියෙන individual needs තම තමන්ගේ needs සහ as a whole when they work as a collective team, their needs should also be satisfied with strategic human resource management activities. So that's very important, and that is what we call as strategic human resource or SHRM activities. So having said that, like I'm sure, like I don't want to tell you, there are obvious benefits of engaging in strategic human resource management activities. Are conventional, traditional, are old type of human resource activities වගේ නෙවෙයි. Strategic human resource activities වලට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා organization can get a lot of benefits. They can identify and analyze the external opportunities and threats that may be crucial for the company's success. That's important. ඒගොල්ලෝ හැම වෙලේම අර outside environment එක monitor කරනවා. ඒතර එළියේ තියෙන ආයතන කවුද, competitors කවුද, මොන වගේ monitor වගේ ත්‍රේ වගේ ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ කියන එක you can identify that through strategic human resource management. නමුත් අර conventional HR වල අපි කරන්නේ recruitment, we don't go for that sort of analysis. So in that case, sometimes the company's success might be a problem. It is high than one another. And also not only that, strategic human resource management supplement competitive intelligence or supply competitive intelligence that may be useful in the strategic planning process of the organization. Definitely yes. And also, as I told you, it allows organization to recruit, retain, and motivate people one of the most important things in companies today. A lot of companies today recruit people, but you can see like they work for the company 1 or 2 months, then leave the companies. All companies will be in trouble in that case. But if you look at a company with a solid strategic human resource management plan, they will recruit the right talent and they try to retain them as much as possible by motivating them, by providing training and development, and by recognizing their performance. That is important. And as I told you, the strategic human resource management will allow company to develop and retain highly competent people. That's important. So that's why some companies you see, for example, if you look at a company like Unilever Sri Lanka, it's very difficult to enter to a company like that. A permanent workforce sector, sometimes they take only 2 or 4 management as trainees per year, highly competitive. And Egulangi selections also, they have number of tests to be faced. They will have a first selection test. After that, they will check your certificates. They may call you for another interview. And after that, there will be assessment center. They ask you to come and spend 1 day there, participating several activities. Then again, they might ask you to come for the second interview. Then again, there will be some other test. And they go for number of tests before finalize the recruit. Why actually they want to do that is they want to ensure that they are getting the cream to be recruited in the organization. It's the essence or the cream of the people they have to select. So it's like a part of strategic human resource management activities. As again, it's important to ensure that people development issues are addressed systematically, because if you look at a lot of companies, nowadays actually recruiting employees will be challenging. I think on the first day also I told you, then ගොඩක් වෙලාවට බලුවොත් youngsters like young students like you don't like to go and work in a company as a full-time employee. ගොඩක් උගලන්ගේ undergraduates ලගෙන් ඇහුවොත්, especially boys, they say they want to have their own business. And they want to work as freelancers, the contract basis employees. මොකද අලුත් අය හිතනවා permanent employee කෙනෙක් කියලා කියන්නේ it's a responsibility. So you have to work for that company every day. And the other thing is you will get limited earnings, limited income. හැබැයි අර freelancers විදියට වැඩ කරනකොට, if you have contacts, you might be able to get more income, more projects, and whenever you need, you can take a leave. That's how it is. So if you look at most of the time, like for the companies now, retaining the talent will, or identifying the right talent and retaining the highly competent people have become a big issue. So that is why the strategic human resource management is very important. It's very important for an organization. So then they can retain the right people, the right talent. That's important. And also you have to ensure the people development issues. එතන අර employees ලගේ development issues ඒගොල්ලන් හැම වෙලේම බලනවා career එකේ කොහොමද grow වෙන්නේ. So then you can even support to that. That's very important. So those are the benefits of strategic human resource management for an organization. And by doing that, actually, a lot of organizations can ensure the productivity, because they can ensure the employees will retain in the organization. එතකොට අර employees ලා එකපාරටම organization එක දාලා ගියාම මොනවා හරි ආයතනයට වෙන damage එක එහෙම නැත්නම් මොනවා හරි production process එක පරක්කු වෙනවා නම් ඒ වගේ issues nothing will happen whenever you take the right employees to the right job. So it allows you to meet the customers' expectations effectively. There won't be any time lags or the delays in the orders. Nothing will happen. And by doing that, actually, the companies can be more competitive. With regular hadisya, they have a good pool of employees. In case if one leaves, they have a proper replacement in the organization as. So that is what we call as the benefits of strategic human resource management, which is extremely important for an organization and its growth as well. So up to this point, any questions? Any questions, any clarifications from your side? I hope you all can hear me, right? I hope you all can hear me. Am I correct? Ah, yes. Now I see the message. Right. So let's move. Right. So if you look at actually, you can see the different types of HR activities that you can see in the organizations. And these HR activities we have like categorized into different types. Like the first one is high and low based on the strategic value of the activity. ආයතනයට කොච්චර value එකක් return කරනවාද කියන එක මත. So we can categorize high and low. And the other one is the type of the HR activity, whether you are going to have a long-term relationships with your employees or just transactional. You just recruit them, pay them, and whenever they want, they can leave. So depending on that, you can see there are different types of HR activities are there. For example, staff planning, HR planning, අවශ්‍ය කරන employees නම් jobs මොනවාද තියෙන jobs ඒවට මොන වගේ employees අද ඕනේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ qualifications මොනවද so determining that is of high value that is what I told you because some companies are there they don't have such restrictions they just advertise whoever applies they just recruit so then their HR planning and identifying the benefits of planning is very poor it should not be the way so it's a high value activity for an organization because before they recruit the employees, they should know what are the real needs. A real needs for a Galapin employment basic, you should recruit. And after that, like once you recruit employees, paying salaries, payroll, the benefits then whenever they are working in your company, and like employees like records the maintain karani. Those are actually the everyday activities that you do within organizations. Not that much of a value, but must. Loku value එකක් add කරන්න. නමුත් හැම company එකේම this is something that you should do. ඊළඟට if you look at like the long term relationship building වලට ගොඩාක් උදව් වෙන්නේ like evaluating the performance of the employees you need to treat them well so that is very important like for an organization so that's very important like for an organization if they want to retain the right talent with the company for a long time so that's important. That's like long-term high value. Anitik, as I told you, some companies put a lot of effort in recruitment interview. For example, actually Unilever spends a lot. Like recruitment process, like a selection criteria is very hard. Loku cost එකක් ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒකට වැය කරනවා because they understand long term it has a huge value for an organization. නමුත් සමහර companies their argument is why do we need to like spend that much of money? We will simply like call for an interview and select the right person. So in that case, like if you look at it, it's like low value in the sense like you will recruit the person, but in the long run, you may not be able to survive with them. So that's important. So that's how you need to understand. And like, even when you work in an organization, it's true that you don't do HR. උගලන් HR manager කෙනෙක්ගේ role එක you will never play. හැබැයි උගලන් like whenever you work in an organization, you have to closely work with HR people. And you have to say, අපිට ඕනේ මේ වගේ employees. That these are the qualifications that we look for. These are the qualities of employees that we look for. That's important. So if you look at actually there are a lot of benefits that companies can earn by integrating HR planning. HRP here is HR planning with strategic plan. That is important. That's what I told you. Like you might have seen, even sometimes some politicians comments, the government people comment, government employees, like they are taking salary without doing a proper job. If you look at most of the time, the issue is because we don't do proper HR plan. The Godak organizations, as I told you, private sector, they are very critical about it. They know හරියට HR planning කරේ නැත්නම් the whole organization will be in a trouble. So you have to do that. ඒතර ඒක අර ආයතනයේ strategic planning වලදීම we have to do that. We need to understand මොනවද ඇත්තටම ආයතනයට අවශ්‍ය. The real HR need of the organization to facilitate the goal setting is very important. ඒ ආයතනයේ තියෙන goals achieve කරන්න ආයතනයේ තියෙන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ long term objectives achieve කරන්න මොන වගේ plans ද ඒගොල්ලන්ට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ. That's very important for us to focus as well. So it's that's very important for an organization to understand that. So then they know a goals වලට අනුව these are the employees that we have to recruit. But if you look at එහෙම නැතුව ආයතනය නිකම් if they keep on recruiting employees, once you recruit an employee, it's a huge cost. You have to pay them salaries. You need to pay them increments. So then again, if you want to lay off them, ඒගොල්ලන් අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ වුණත් it's a huge process. You can't just ask them don't come to work, don't report to work, I will not pay you. It's not something simple. danger එක තියෙන හින්දා හැම වෙලේම the organization should understand recruiting the right talent for the right job, and that has to facilitate with the organization's goal. ඒ ආයතනයේ තියෙන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ long term goal එකට support කරන්න පුළුවන් employees තමයි we have to take. And also we have to ensure HR resources will be properly assessed at the beginning. That's what I told you. If you look at a company like Unilever, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ management trainees ලා 4 දෙනෙක් ගන්න කරන වියදම, they nearly spend about 1 million for the whole recruitment process. You might wonder what a waste to recruit 4 people, why they want to spend more than 1 million. But it's a saving for the company because they take the cream out of the applicants. And those people, once they are trained, they will retain with the company at least for 10 to 15 years. It's a big thing for the organization. So that is what we call as proper HR plan. The සමහර companies හිතන්නේ okay, why we should do that? ඔච්චර වියදම් කරන්නේ මොකටද? We can just simply put up an advertisement in the top jobs and get things done. Then what happens is you have to do it every day, every week, every month. And ultimately, it's not good for your company's reputation. As I told you, some undergraduates are there. The moment when they look at the company name, they say, I'm not going to apply. May company ke hamadam top jobs ke advertise karna. So it's not good. Not good for the recognition company. And when people get to know that your company's labor turnover is high, it'll be definitely a problem as well. So the other one is why actually you have to integrate human resource planning with the strategic planning is because it's very important. You try to prevent strategy formulation based on personal rigidness or preferences. ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට ආයතනවල recruitment, employees age promotions දෙනකොට personal preferences සාධ්‍ය. Especially government sector, if you look at very closely, our universities see the workforce, ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට employees are from the central province because for a long time, the higher education ministers were elected from the central province. That is why non-academic staff is mostly contained from the central province employees. Based on their preference, political appointments are given. The HR planning, we never do something like that. No preferences given for the employees from your school, like a manager school, like a university batchmates, like a gummy kattiya. You don't give something like that. You always look at the talent of the person and recruit the right talent for the right job. So that is important. So then, like in the long run, your company will be profitable. And also, it facilitate concurrent considerations of strategic plans and managerial successions. That is important. Succession, in the sense, it's again a good point in HR. Then, කවුරු හරි employee කෙනෙක් leave කරොත්, you have to have the second layer. උගලන් දැකලා ඇති ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට just look at the presidents of the country. Analyze කරලා බලන්න the past presidents that we had and their prime ministers. ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට prime minister විදියට තෝරගන්නේ like one of the oldest member of parliament, but like weak personality or a weak character than the president. Because most of the time the presidents are afraid, prime minister talented, probably it will be a problem to me. My position will be taken over by the prime minister. If you look at the current government, it's something very different that we have never seen, because the prime minister and the president both are capable people. That's a very different story. ඒ වගේ අර ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට leadership වල තියෙන එක technique එකක් තමයි හැම වෙලේම succession layer එකක් හදන්න. The second layer is very weak. So then the leader can survive, which is a very bad practice, and it should not done in management, which is a very bad practice. You might have seen that the Sri Lanka cricket team, what has happened, many people blame like Kumar Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardena, because when they were like heading the teams, they didn't properly prepare the second layer, which was an issue. And many people actually, why they don't go for the second layer is they think that will be a threat to their survival. ඒකින්ද ගොඩක් අය second layer එක avoid කර. හැබැයි හරි HRM practices වල strategic human resource management වලදී HR planning වලදී you have to think about the managerial succession. මගෙන් පස්සේ මේ employee should come to this position. You prepare the career path like that. And that's what I told you. Nowadays, a lot of people do not like to work in the company for a long time. හදිසියට අපි කවුරු recruit කරද්දී they will question what will happen to me. What will be my career progression 5 years down the line? So you will be able to show them the succession plan. That's very important, without which now you can't survive in organizations. That has to be an important area. So that's again another part that we have to discuss in relation to human resource management. So having said that, now let's talk about the skills required by the strategic human resource managers. So human resources managers should have planning skills. That is important. HR planning is very important. ඒතර කවුරු හරි ආයතනයේ කිව්වොත් I need an employee like this, HR manager පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ to talk to them and understand what is the real need. මේ employee recruit කරන්න අවශ්‍යමද? So they have to take the right decision. The planning skills are very important. And also, they have to have information management skills. So HR manager should not execute all requests getting from the other managers. So they should be able to work with each other and tell each other I need this much of employees, why you need this, what are the activities you have to do. You'll be able to manage with 3 people, so they should be able to tell. That is very important. And also, not only that, even the planning skills, it's important. And again, the integration skills, කොහොමද අනිත් parts එක වැඩ කරන්නේ, අනිත් අයට support කරන්නේ ආයතනේ. That's again very important. And also the change management skills. If you look at a human resource manager, he or she should be able to encourage changes in the organizations. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට if you look at the human resources, HR people, the employees of the organizations, they are usually reluctant to change. Their nature is once they are getting to some sort of a practice, they do not like to change. ඒගොල්ලන් අර හැම වෙලේම පුරුදු වෙච්ච practice එකේ they want to be in the safe side. They don't like to change. But if you look at strategic human resource management, it's all about like, it's all about changing. You have to get like, you have to get you need to get adjusted yourself. That's something very important. Whenever like you manage human resources, that's very important. So other than that, you can't say that you're not ready to change. So it's not going to work. For a strategic human resource management, the change is inevitable. ඒ අවස්ථාව අනුව change වෙලා අවස්ථාවට ගැලපෙන එකක් ඒ විදිහට work practices වෙනස් කරගන්න එක that's something very important when it comes to the strategic human resource management. So if you look at it, actually strategic human resource management, one final slide before we conclude the session today, it's something like this. HR strategy should always be flexible, adjustable, according to the environmental changes and organizational capabilities, organizational characteristics, and the strategies of the organization. ඒ හතර මතම HR strategies depend on. There has to be a strategic fit. If we say, HR policies, HR strategies, I don't mind about the outside environment. For me, it's not important. Kaudina competitors like yella. ආයතනයේ තියෙන මොනවාද capabilities ආයතනයේ මොන වගේ ආයතනයක්ද characteristics, whether this is a large scale organization, small scale one, family business or non-family business. So everything you have to focus on. That's important. So if you look at like, this is why we call this as strategic HRM. The සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි ගත්තොත් conventional HRM වල අපි focus කරන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය traditional activities ටික. ඒක අපි we don't want to change according to the like outside environmental changes, which we don't do at all. හැබැයි strategic human resource management wala, it's going to be something different. So that's why like I just want to complete this. So that's very important. Like it's very important. Like without this, without the flexibility, without the adjustments, like we may not be able to practice strategic human resource management. Right. So those are the areas that we want to cover. Like up to this point, any questions? Up to this point? Any questions, any clarifications from your side? I hope you all can hear me, right? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, no questions. Right, so then we will like wind up the session for the day. And please be kind enough to like have a physical session next week, 2nd of like December from 8 to 10 as scheduled. We can have the physical session. So I always encourage it's better if we can go for the physical session. So hopefully we'll be able to have the physical session the next week. Right, so with that actually we can wind up the session for the week. Thank you very much for your participation. Have a good day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, madam.
You're welcome.